morning. As Henry VIII said to each of his wives, I won't keep you here for very long. I know you've got much more serious business. I want to begin by just thanking you. You have historically been a source of terrific ideas in difficult times. Previously, more than 20 energy-saving ideas when we last faced the kind of spike in energy costs that we, I think, are facing again today. The inflation figures are not particularly encouraging. The budget situation is extremely difficult, and you are in charge of the spaces of the children's education in the state, and your thinking about that is critical as we move forward together to face the challenges. You have also been a model in taking internal responsibility for your own professional growth and development. The CDF certification is widely recognized, and I think as we look at our region's reform agenda, we look at putting in CTE credentials into the core of our education programs, indeed thinking about a career and technical option instead of one of the 5 regions. We want to reach out to you and to other organizations in that thinking. I think the crucial issue here is that the space of the building is really across the world no longer 4 walls and chairs and desks. I had the privilege to co-chair a meeting in New York City of school architects from across the world with educational reformers. It is quite stunning what's being done abroad, and we have a great deal to learn. Harvard University has just announced a brand new program in architecture and education reform, the spaces of learning, understanding how important that is. I have to say that I think as I look at the New York City building code, and they showed me the book, it's a miracle that creative things are done. I think we can do better. But you are the people who really know this best. You know your buildings, you know the spaces of education. And I'm just here to say that I think this is a very, very critical issue. We have a very tough situation right now, and one in which building aid, and I'm open about this, is on a trajectory that is so different from our basic education aid as to raise troubling questions. Sometimes I worry that we keep creating new buildings and we don't have the maintenance of our existing buildings. And I think there's a tendency, a very human tendency, that if somebody is giving you a highly subsidized dollar, you want to spend it. I would too. And I'd want to spend it in a way it could be spent, rather than worrying about the condition of the buildings that I have. And I know you face that challenge all the time. We have tried to introduce some thinking into this process. We will continue to try to introduce some thinking into this process. We believe that the spaces in which our children must be educated have to be safe, they have to be efficient, they have to be ideally imaginative and encourage new kinds of learning, new kinds of technology that are before us. Let me just close with a few words about the educational reform agenda more broadly. We face a fundamental challenge, and that is that the world has changed. The level of education that was appropriate to a decent standard of living 10 years ago is just not available to very many people anymore. If you take our current high school graduation standards as a sign that you're ready for college, in other words, you take that credential with your 565s, you arrive at the community college, you will be surprised to learn, perhaps, that you will be remediated in almost every case. In other words, there is a very large gap between the standard we've set for high school graduation and not only a community college first-year course, but more and more of the career options that give a meaningful living wage for students who get out of high school. So we have to do a huge ratchet up effort at a time of unprecedented budget cuts. That is a hugely difficult challenge. So we're looking at soup to nuts the curriculum, which we haven't had across the state. We need to build it. Teacher training and preparation. Get them in the schools for their training, not reading textbooks. We have to look at better exams that actually get students ready for the college challenge, not something else that doesn't matter. CTE, putting that as a real option for high school and getting the qualities of those programs fixed and raised. That is a very major reform agenda. But in the end, it's also about the fundamentals of the quality of teaching. And as we talk about what matters in a classroom, it is the effectiveness of the teacher and the principal and the substance of what is taught that will drive improvement. So my thanks to the work that you do every day, the ideas that you bring. I know that Chuck will be with you, and he will report back to me on the discussions you have today. I know this is a terrifically difficult moment for our education community, for the 3 million kids in this state, particularly for those in rural districts and in some of the inner cities. I know that we have this paradox of spending a great deal in some ways and restricting ourselves in others that doesn't make very good sense, and is the result, frankly, of adults' politics rather than focusing on what matters most for kids. That is a problem and a worry that I'm determined to keep my energies focused on. But meanwhile, it's just really good to know that our buildings are in your hands. You have taken this charge with great, great professional responsibility, and I am grateful. Thank you so much.